You shall have no other gods before me. The 10 Commandments were given to Israel after they left slavery in Egypt. Since Israel was in a special relationship, a covenant with God, they were called to obey the 10 Commandments, and obedience was the appropriate response for all that God had done. God's people are to be holy because He is holy. For I am the Lord who brings you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. You shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. Christians are not under the Mosaic law because Christ has fulfilled it, but Christians are still called to be holy, to be like Christ. So the 10 Commandments that reveal basics about morality still have applications for Christians today. The 10 Commandments speak about loving God and loving people. Some commandments speak about a person's relationship with God. Other commandments speak about a person's relationship with other people. The first commandment speaks about absolute allegiance to the one true God. You shall have no other gods before me. The before me means God does not want false gods anywhere in His sight. God will not allow divided allegiance. This commandment was especially important for the Israelites who had just left Egypt. The Egyptians worshipped multiple gods. Worshipping another god would not be a big demand for Israel, but getting rid of the other gods would be a big demand. The true God would not share worship with false gods. In Egypt and other pagan cultures, the people believed different aspects of nature and life revealed different gods. To guarantee maximum blessings, the people would try to worship every god. To avoid destruction and punishment, the people would try to worship every god. Well over 1,000 years after the Exodus, Paul encountered the same kind of worship in Athens. Then Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, Men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious. For as I was passing through and considering the objects of your worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God. Therefore the one whom you worship without knowing, him I proclaim to you, God, who made the world and everything in it, since He is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is He worshipped with men's hands as though He needed anything, since He gives to all life, breath, and all things. Paul stated that the people of Athens were very religious. They worshipped every god they came across. Just in case they missed any gods, they even built a temple to the unknown God. Paul used this as an opportunity to share about the one true God. There are not multiple gods. The problem in Athens was the same problem in Egypt. The problem persists today. There are many people who worship false gods, and the reason is sin. Sin has blinded our understanding of who God is. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse, because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed animals, and creeping things. God has revealed Himself in creation, but instead of worshiping the Creator, people in sin worship the creation instead. God will not share worship with His creation. God will not share worship with false gods. God alone is worthy of praise. In the opening of the 10 Commandments, God reminded Israel, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. God saved them. The false Egyptian gods did not save Israel. The false Egyptian gods could not defeat the only true and living God. God showed His power over the false Egyptian gods through the plagues upon Egypt. Egypt worshipped over 2,000 different false gods. The specific Egyptian gods that were shamed in the plagues are not mentioned in the Bible, but we do have historical records telling us what different Egyptian gods represented. The water turned to blood struck the Egyptian god Hapi, the god of the Nile River. The frog invasion shamed the Egyptian goddess Heket, the fertility goddess with the head of a frog. The lice from the earth struck the Egyptian god Geb, the god of the earth. The plague of flies shamed the Egyptian goddess Uitkit, the fly goddess of the marshes. The death of cattle and livestock struck the Egyptian god Ptah, who the Egyptians believed had manifested himself as the Apis bull that they worshipped. The boils and sores shamed the Egyptian god Imhotep, the god of medicine. The burning hail struck the Egyptian goddess Nut, the goddess of the sky. The locusts who ate the crops shamed the Egyptian god Napur, the god of grain. The darkness defeated the Egyptian god Ra, the god of the sun. The death of the firstborn struck the Pharaoh, who was considered a god. These false gods were powerless. God brought shame upon the false worship of Egypt, and now he reminded Israel, "You shall have no other gods before me." False gods are inventions of sinful man. God's general revelation in creation shows a creator, but we need God's special revelation to know who he is. God revealed himself to Israel in many ways. One way was through the Ten Commandments. Today, God has revealed himself to us through the whole Bible, and God still commands worship of him alone. False gods are worthless and cannot save. You should turn from these useless things to the living God, who made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all things that are in them. Who do you worship? False religions will only take you to hell. What do you worship? Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, that is riches." God's warning to Israel is a warning that all Christians should take serious today. You shall not go after other gods, the gods of the peoples who are all around you, for the Lord your God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord your God be aroused against you and destroy you from the face of the earth. God will not share worship. You shall have no other gods before me. In the next video, we will explore the second commandment. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments.